There we go. Okay, fans, what do you think of the new Nerd Cave?
It's looking quite well, sir, and my systems are in top condition.
Alright, perfect. Now, line me up for the next review.
Right away, sir. Seeing as the new Superman movie is coming out in July, I've lined up Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
Oh. Well, let's christen this puppy. Greetings, geeks and girls. I'm the Joyful Jester, and welcome back to the new Nerd Cave for another comic book movie review. It's about time that the old Man of Steel has finally gotten his due, isn't it? Between the new James Gunn movie that's coming out in July, to two separate shows getting really good reviews by fans, Superman seems to finally be stepping out of the shadow of the Batman and reclaiming his throne as the face of DC Comics. And seeing how the Man of Tomorrow is finally getting some love and respect, I think it's time that we can finally look back at the movie that almost killed the franchise permanently, Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. For context, the first Superman movie was released in 1978, with Richard Donner as the director, starring Christopher Reeve. This film was actually setting up a sequel, and it got one that did really well. But clearly, they didn't really know what they wanted to do with the next film when they made 3, and Richard Donner had already moved on. They hired a different director, the same guy who directed What's Up, Doc, and it clearly shows because this movie has a very weird screwball comedy style that just didn't fit Superman. It even had Richard Pryor as one of the main characters. I'm assuming that 4 was supposed to be a way of taking the franchise back to basics, even bringing Richard Donner back, but Richard Donner couldn't direct this movie because he was busy with Lethal Weapon at the time. In fact, Christopher Reeve actually helped pen the script for this film and even offered to help direct, but he didn't have much experience. He wanted to make this movie as a response to real nuclear threats that were happening at the time. The problem is that he wanted a bigger budget of $35 million, and the studio cut it in half to only $17 million. And yeah, it shows. But before that, let's get into the pros. Christopher Reeve, Margaret Kidder, and Gene Hackman are all giving it their all. Margaret Kidder especially has this great emotional scene near the ending of the film that I think was just really well done. And of course, Christopher Reeve carries this film. There's something about his style of acting. He just has this wholesome aura around him that just oozes Superman to me. And I'm sorry, I'm putting my foot down. Nuclear Man is an actually really interesting villain. The idea of a villain born of Kryptonian DNA mixed with atomic radiation to create the ultimate killing machine sounds like a badass villain. I just wish that he was better handled in this film. I'm just saying, if he were to be reworked slightly and given a less complicated origin, he'd be a welcome addition to the Man of Steel's Rogues Gallery. Okay, cons time. This movie is cheap, really cheesy effects that look out of an Ed Wood movie. And the story is just kind of cookie cutter. It doesn't really feel as epic as the first 2 films. It just feels generic and kind of meaningless. You can just tell, outside of a few select actors, that nobody really cared with this movie. This movie cares so little that there's literally a scene where a human being is just taken into space. Yep, no spacesuit, no helmet, she can just breathe. That is a special kind of not giving a damn. But that is nothing compared to the biggest cop-out in Superman history. And I'm including all 5 movies. So if you're familiar with these films, you know that in Superman 2, Superman revealed his identity to Lois Lane, and the two of them started a relationship that Clark even gave up his powers for a while in order to pursue. And it felt like that the two might have started something, but Clark thought it would be better if nobody knew he was Superman, so he uses a super kiss to erase her memory. Now at first, I thought they were going to retcon this. Superman reveals his identity to Lois again in order to ask her a little bit about a specific decision with both identities in mind. He even takes her on the same flying tour he did in the first film, I guess to rejog her memory. And right when I thought, hey, this is an interesting storyline, now we have Superman and Lois aware that Clark is Superman, and we can have the story continue through that. Right as I start to give this movie credit, he erases her memory again! Why? There's no purpose for it. It literally feels like a straight up screw you to the audience. I mean, like, if he had a reason for it and he just was just revealing his identity and then the rest of the movie she just knew, considering she acts like she knows, it's like they just threw that in there. It's like a safety cover, like they were covering their asses. Really? And no, this never comes back. If anything, you could cut it out of the movie and completely miss nothing. It really just feels like they dangled the idea in our faces again and then slapped us when we started to want it again. I mean, were you trying to hint that maybe she subconsciously knows? Was that what you were trying to get across?
Well, you failed miserably!
Hey. I mean, like, it's one thing to do it once, but it's another to do it again for no reason at all and has no purpose in the story. You didn't just fail Superman 4, you super failed.
Super fail!
Whew. Let's get to the ranking before I pop a freaking blood vessel. This movie has a lot of pros for it. It does have some good performances from the main three actors, and some of the action is decent, but everything else about it is just a mess. This movie clearly needed more time in the oven that the studio just wasn't willing to give it, and it's no wonder that this movie bombed faster than, well, Nuclear Man did. So, I gotta give it one issue in the long box, and that is almost entirely dedicated to just the actors. But, on that, I hope you guys enjoy my new location, and I'm the Joyful Jester, and it's good to be back.